Prem Rawat has been talking to people about peace since he was a young child. He has spent over 50 years traveling the world, delivering the message that peace is possible. Central to Prem's approach is the understanding that peace is a human necessity and that it begins within each of us. He brings a unique and enriching perspective on life, combined with practical techniques to nurture self-awareness and a deep sense of inner peace. Over the past 5 decades, Prem has gained worldwide recognition for his message of personal peace. His peace education program is taught in prisons, post-conflict zones, veteran centers and hospitals in over 84 countries around the world, including the United Kingdom, the USA, Sri Lanka and Colombia.
Good evening and welcome. Our guest today is a gentleman who has addressed over 5 million people in over 50 countries. I'm happy to introduce Mr. Prem Rawat, Global Peace Ambassador. Good evening and welcome. It's fantastic having you here in Sri Lanka.
Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure.
Mr. Rawat, for our Sri Lankan audiences watching us right now, could you elaborate on this term Global Peace Ambassador, since peace is really of the essence, especially in the current context in the world?
Well, the peace is inside each one of us. So technically, we are all global peace ambassadors. And we have to understand that the peace is inside of us, and it is our responsibility to represent that peace. But most importantly, to represent that peace in our lives. All those people that we love, for them, for ourselves, to enjoy what it means to be alive, to enjoy what it means to be in peace. One, we have to understand that peace is possible. And two, we have to understand that peace is within inside of us. We don't have to go and push buttons to try to create it. Peace isn't the absence of war, but peace is the absence of war within inside of us. Peace isn't the end of conflict outside, but peace is the end of conflict on the inside. Because so far we have the conflict on the inside, it doesn't really matter. And sooner or later that conflict will manifest itself on the outside. So that's what peace means to me. And being an ambassador, I think everybody is an ambassador because everybody carries peace inside of them.
Across the world, we see, especially in the West, how xenophobia is raising its head once again, racism, hatred. How does one go about ensuring that peace prevails over all this negativity and toxicity?
If you have a hole in the boat and you want to plug it up, isn't it important to know where that hole is?
Sure.
So, let's understand, where does all this stuff come from? Does it come from the sky? Does it come from a tree? Does it come from a particular frog? Does it come from a particular crab? Or does it come from inside of people? Because of misunderstanding of who we are. We're all human beings. We're all the same. You see, the way I look at it, all of us have a little twang, a little silly thing, which is that I want to feel important. And if I can feel important, that's good. So if I got 75 on the marks, and it was 5 more than you, that'll make me feel good. If you got 80, 5 more than me, that'll make you feel good. It's like, yes, I was the highest in my class. I was the this in my class. It goes even to when you're parking your car. If you got there a second before the other person and you were able to park your car, that makes you feel good.
Sure.
If you're standing in a line waiting for a ticket for the movie theater and all of a sudden you're allowed to go front, that makes you feel good. It's like, this is cool, this is good. When a person feels inferior, they want to feel superior. And this is at the root of racism. I want to feel better than these people. I want to feel better than this person. I want to feel better. This is where bullying comes from.
Sure.
This is where gangs get created. One gang has to be better than the other gang. It's going on around. There's no limit to it. It goes to countries, and it's like, yes, we have a bigger army than you. We have a bigger air force than you.
Sure.
And they exhibit it.
Yeah.
And more they do that, the more it makes them feel good. We're the number one. Already there is a division. The first world countries, they're not called first world, but they're definitely, the other ones are called the third world countries. And who coined this phrase? The third world countries? No, it's the ones that don't call them the number ones coined the phrase of the third world countries. But the problem is, we're all number one. And the tragedy is, we don't know it. We're all number one. There is something so special about us that we don't understand.
How does one go about tapping into this potential? Because across the world we see racism, we see bullying, we see negativity. There is so much of negativity around us and so little psychosocial care, for example. We see this in schools, we see this in universities, we see this at the workplace, we see this in parliaments across the world.
Yes?
How does one go about releasing one's potential, in your opinion?
It's very simple. We have to go back a long ways at the time of Socrates.
Mm-hmm.
And he said something very, very beautiful and very simple, very profound. Know thyself. All of this is all happening. All the negative stuff that is happening is because we really don't know who we are. What does it mean to be a human being? We don't know that. We think we are a robot. We have to get up in the morning, we have to do this, 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 we have to do this. And we judge our day by how much we accomplished. And we judge our burdens on our shoulder by what we didn't accomplish. Because that bears down on us. I have still to do this. I have to still do this. We go to sleep at night. What do we dream about? We dream about all the terrible things we still have to do, all our responsibilities. That's not a human being. A human being is somebody who carries in them not the darkness, but light. Who carries in them caring, not caring, caring. Who carries in them joy, who carries in them clarity, not doubt. But somehow, when we don't understand who we are, then this is what happens. There was an experiment done by this photographer in Africa. And what he did is he put a big stainless steel mirror in the jungle. And this gorilla comes. And he does not know that's him. And so he assumes that's his enemy. And he starts beating his chest and making bad faces and screaming at him. It's like, get away, go away, this is my territory. He doesn't understand that's him. Chimpanzees do the same thing. After a little while, the chimpanzee get it, that's me. That's the trick. When you don't know who you are, you become your own enemy. Because that gorilla was becoming his own enemy. He was thinking that's his enemy, but it was really him. We become our own enemy. We cannot get along together. We don't understand who you are, that you are just like me. You are capable of suffering pain. I'm capable of suffering pain. But most importantly, you are capable of experiencing joy, and I'm capable of experiencing joy. And that the joy doesn't come from outside, it comes from within you. These are the subtle understandings. When we start to see that we don't have to be reliant on others, that we need to be reliant on us, then we begin to understand what Socrates actually said when he said, know thyself. You are the treasure. You want wealth. You want wealth. But where is your wealth? Is your wealth buried in a cave, or is your wealth buried inside of you?
How does one go about seeking the guidance in this respect? Because people are so busy with their day-to-day lives. Across the world, we see it. People don't have time for themselves, Ms. Rawat.
I know.
That's the reality.
I know that. I know that. So we want tea, we push a button. On the tea kettle, we push a button. We want to do something, we push a button. We want to take a shower, we turn a knob. And this is what people think, that they give me a quick way, push a button and I can have peace. No button for peace, because it's already inside of you. So now, how do you go? The question is, how do you go searching for something that you already have? So you can't use your hands. So you can't go, oh, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? How do you go searching for something you already have?
Let's continue the conversation right after this short commercial break. We'll be right back. Good evening and welcome back. We're in conversation with Mr. Prem Rawat, Global Peace Ambassador. You were speaking about a very interesting point before we had to cut in for the break. How does one go about searching for the peace that's within oneself?
Exactly. So, you have eyes, you see everybody's eyes. You see everybody's face, you see everybody's eyes. But do you know that your eyes can't see themselves? Your eyes cannot see your face. You see everybody else's face, but not yours. Not until you have a mirror in front of you. To see you, you need a mirror. To see anybody else, you don't need a mirror. So, how do you search for something you already have? The search isn't search. Be ready to witness. Big difference. Be ready to witness who you are. When you look in that mirror, don't be surprised what you see, because it is you. In the same way, we are in the mode. One, peace is not inside of us. We will find it somewhere else. So that's what we do. We go to different countries, we go to the holy places, we go to this temple, we go to that. That's where peace is. That's where peace is. But peace is inside of us. So, can you accept the fact that peace is inside of you? Not so easily. Why is it when you love your child, and you do, you don't say, I love you? What do we say to them in the morning? You're going to be late. You better get ready. Are you ready to go? Have you done your homework? This is how we begin the interaction. If our child was to get lost and we didn't know where they were, would we tell them, hey, you're late? Did you do your homework? No, there'll be only one thing. And that one thing would be, come back, I love you. Come back, I love you. I love you, I need you, you're so important. This, why not first? That yes, peace is inside of me. Understanding that is the first step. I do not need to search. It is already here. It is the first step, the beginning step to peace.
We need to now take this message to the masses across countries, across the world. How do you suggest we go about doing that? Do you think that education systems need to be reformed to incorporate peace studies, for example, or education in human values? What is your take on that?
Every successful company has a department. And their job, they're sometimes called the CEOs, sometimes they're the board. Their job is to look at it and see what works and what doesn't work. And they get rid of what doesn't work and keep what works. How come? This is my question. How come our society never sits down and takes a look at what works and what doesn't work? Why don't we ask the simple questions? Are our governments actually working or not working? Our education system, we have an education system. It is based on a very much a monastery system back from those days where, most of the education was happening in monasteries. We still have that system. Does it work? Doesn't it work? Across the board, what works? But everybody is in this race to become rich. Everybody has a target of success. They don't understand what success means. Because if they started to say, well, what is success? Then they would realize that the first time they took this breath and became alive, success came to them. They were successful at that moment. At that moment. But success has become about money, success has become about position, success has become about power. And we never sit down in our lives and say, does that work or doesn't it work?
We see so many rich, successful individuals who are so unhappy. And this is not a phenomenon that is limited to a particular geographical location. So many successful individuals are so unhappy. What's the cause for this?
Because they were handed a formula: make a lot of money and you will be happy. Well, they made a lot of money and they're still not happy, but nobody is doing the report card. Nobody is sitting down in their life ever and saying what works for me and what doesn't work for me. Nobody does that. Is this working? No, people just go and go and go and go. And yesterday, when I was coming, after I arrived at the airport, I was driving and I'm seeing everybody is trying to catch the bus to go home. And they're just running after the bus. And they do this on Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And they know the routine. They know this is what they have to do. This is what's going on. This is what's happening. But nobody says, is this what my life is all about? And when you do, the answer is very simple. Take care of your responsibilities, but not as they will be the source of your happiness. No, the source of your happiness you have to find inside of you. Taking care of your responsibilities so you can have a roof over your head, that you can be sheltered during the rain, you can be sheltered when it's cold, you can have some food to eat, then it's fine. Then it's okay. But you have to understand, what is the main drive? What drives you? I asked people, I was just in Malaysia, I asked people, you're all here because you want to be happy. Let me ask you a question. Why? Why do you want to be happy? Have you asked yourself, why do you want to be happy? Why do you want to be content? Why? What is so outrageous about happiness that you like? I'm not saying that they shouldn't, but I'm just asking, did you ever wonder, why do you want to be happy? You, of course, know why you don't want to be sad, because that makes you feel terrible.
Yeah.
So if happiness makes you feel good, what are you doing in your life to truly strive that? You look at a crab, he goes around, he doesn't have GPS, he doesn't have technology, but he has enough of a technology he needs to eat, he eats. That's a little crab knows that. How come we have forgotten it? The crab knows there's no value in him wearing an expensive watch and this and this. And I'm not saying you shouldn't wear an expensive watch. I'm not saying you shouldn't have fancy cars. I'm not saying you shouldn't have fancy homes. But don't look at those as the source of your happiness. The source of your happiness is inside of you.
All right. We are in conversation with Mr. Prem Rawat. We'll be back after this short break. Welcome back. We're here with Mr. Prem Rawat. We're speaking about peace and its capacity for development in an individual. You've said, know thyself is what we all need to really go back to. However, peace seems to be today a theoretical construct. Practically, there are too many complex implications for the effective practicality. So how do you suppose countries need to incorporate this theory of peace into practical implementation in terms of methodology?
Well, we have to first begin with understanding what peace is. Because most of the world in my traveling, I have understood, has no idea what peace is. For most people, peace is utopia. It's this world. And yet they don't understand how utopia came to be. The word utopia. It's a mash of two different words. Around 1531, there was a novel of the same name that was written. And the author, for the first time, introduced this word, utopia. And this is the two words that were used. From a Greek word for not, the first two, U-O, were taken. And then topia was taken from topography. So basically the word actually means no place like this. Utopia. And yet, we have created in our imagination this. And what is utopia? It is the exact opposite of our problems. In utopia, we don't have to work. In utopia, everybody is happy. I mean, it is exactly a reverse of the world that we live in that we don't like. If peace takes on the manifestation of utopia, understanding what utopia means, no place, it's never going to happen. It's too impractical to try to create in this world an exact opposite world. Would be impossible. But if peace is understood to be something that is already inside of you, peace is the experience of the joy that is inside of you. Peace is the experience of clarity that is inside of you. Peace is the experience of that beauty that is inside of you. Peace is the experience of the light that is inside of you.
How do governments engage with this message to take it to the people?
If governments would stop all the arguments that they have and start really looking at stuff that will benefit the people, because every government is like trying to hold on to that little chair, hold on to that little seat. A government is elected, and then the next thing you know, they're already focusing on the next election. How are we going to stay here? How are we going to stay
But
here?
that is something that we see across the world. So how do we move beyond that
Absolutely.
reality?
The problem is, we believe in governments. We think governments are going to solve our problems. We think someday somebody is going to come up from the heavens and take care of all our problems. We're still waiting for the angel to arrive. We forget we are the angels. We have come. We are the savior of ourselves. But not of the world, but of ourselves. Who better to save me than me? Who better to save you than you? This reliance, so far it is somebody else's responsibility and not mine. This is deferring the true responsibility. No, it is your responsibility to be clear. It is your responsibility to be happy. It is your responsibility to understand. It is your responsibility to be kind to the neighbor. Not somebody telling you that. Not somebody coming and, it's the wand. It's the fairy godmother wand. We all are Cinderellas waiting for the fairy queen, to come and wave the wand, turn the pumpkin into the chariot, the mice into the horse. It's not going to happen. It's a story. We got to wake up. We got to take the responsibility for ourselves. This reliance on the government, this is what I said before. Do we ever sit down and say what works and what doesn't work? Never. We just keep doing it and doing it and doing it without ever assessing, does it actually work?
Your final words to the people watching us right now.
You are very fortunate. You are alive. The greatest of gifts is being given to you, the coming and going of this breath. This life is the most amazing thing you have. You were born one day you have to go. There is no and, ifs, and buts about it. What you have is not the wall that you came through when you were born or the wall you're going to go through when you die, but in between those is life. Life is dancing. Life is calling your name. Life is calling you for joy, for happiness. And that is the reason why you like to be happy. Do it. Understand yourself. See and awaken within you. Don't wait for other things to happen. What needs to happen for you has already taken place. You are alive. And there's no better news than that.
Thank you very much. This was fantastic. Mr. Prem Rawat, Global Peace Ambassador, speaking to News First. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Pleasure.